Good day, St. Tim's. Father Joe and Cleo are here with you today on Thursday of the octave of Easter. We're celebrating this great week of Easter Sunday and Easter joy, and that season of Easter will continue for many more weeks until we get to Pentecost. So we have entered this fantastic liturgical season, but also a great season of spiritual renewal, a message we certainly want to hear and really take in this particular time of distress that we're experiencing. This message that we get every year is a timeless one, that God has overcome death and suffering in the person of Jesus, and we are recipients of that. We share in that reality, even as we experience these really challenging moments in our day-to-day existence. We know that the Lord is with us, as he was with the disciples after his crucifixion and death. And in that presence, we are strengthened to carry on. And we will continue to do that. I hope everyone is doing okay. Just a couple of reflections for you today as we kind of begin our Easter journey. I was maybe like you, feeling a little dispossessed, having to be separated from everyone and celebrating the Mass and doing all the things we do at St. Tim's, and being a little isolated. I've only been able to see my 88-year-old mother once in the last 3 weeks here, or even longer than that, probably, out of great fear that I might inadvertently infect her, and that's been hard. I know all of you have your own stories as well. And yet I want to share with you a little story from just the other week. I was going up to the church to check on some things, as I do each day, and ran across one of a few people who are homeless, who visit our property from time to time. And she was going through our garbage cans, looking for some materials to bed down for the night in the woods. So in that ensuing conversation, we talked about some of the challenges that she faces. And the reality, friends, is that there are many people in our local community who are living out of a shopping cart, or perhaps living out of a car. They park in our parking lot with some frequency. They sleep in their cars overnight. We see them with some frequency throughout our local community. And as hard as it might be to feel that we're being put upon to shelter in place in our homes, I can only imagine what this whole experience is like for someone who doesn't have a home to shelter in, and the incredible risk that they face, not being on the streets, but being without insurance, not having access to the medical care that we all have access to and kind of take for granted. So there's a tremendous amount of suffering going on, and it's not only in our own homes, it's in our communities in ways that are really difficult for us to imagine. But I just want to make it abundantly clear for everyone that St. Tim's has been so generous. That means all of you who have been so generous over the years in supporting our outreach ministries, that we very much want to make it known to our parishioners, especially, that if you are suffering financial distress in any way, St. Tim's is here to help. We can do that with the strictest confidence and sensitivity to your situation. If you're having trouble getting your bills paid, meeting your rent or your mortgage obligations, your car payment, maybe it's groceries, prescription medication costs, whatever the situation might be, we are here to do the best that we can to help you out with that. So please do not hesitate to contact myself or Maggie Philbrook, who's our pastoral minister on our staff. You can call through the parish office and leave a message for us at the switchboard. Those messages are checked several times throughout the day, so we will get back to you as quickly as we possibly can and discuss your situation with you in all confidence. And whatever we can do that would be of help is what we want to do. We can do that because of the generosity of our parishioners. We can help some of the folks in our community who are having to survive on the streets because of the generosity of our parishioners. And so we really want to double down on those efforts and those outreach ministries now when the need is great. In the coming months, I suspect that need is only going to get more pronounced. So we do appreciate the tremendous support that our parish has provided for outreach ministry over the years. And we look forward to continuing to do that as best as we can with as much impact as we can on the people who are most in need. With all that being said, just a couple of other things. You probably understand by now that our normal schedule of masses is suspended. We really don't know when we'll be getting back. So much of that's going to depend on the recommendations from the Department of Health and what the state has to say about coming back into larger gatherings and what the social distancing requirements might be when that happens. So I know that we're going to have a lot of things to figure out and to work on as we get back into having a regular schedule of masses, and we'll communicate all of those pieces to you as we can. I would also just want to shout out for our families who are preparing for First Communions and confirmations this spring. I told you earlier the confirmation masses that we were going to do in April have been indefinitely canceled. We're working on some alternative plans. So we'll get that information out to our confirmation students and families as soon as we can. And the same thing on First Communions, which would be coming up here shortly under normal circumstances, but unfortunately those also were going to be rescheduled. We're very sorry about all of that. You know, everyone had made plans, maybe families coming together from out of town or out of state to celebrate these great moments in your lives. And unfortunately, the situation is what it is. So we will get those rescheduled as soon as we can and work with our families to make that as convenient as we possibly can for everyone. So my condolences and my apologies to everyone who's affected by these cancellations and postponements. I know that it's a very disruptive thing for you and for your families, and especially for our kids who are being disappointed by these delays. But we will get to them as soon as it's safe to get to them, and we'll look forward to celebrating really well when we do. So in the meantime, just know that I'm going to make a little suggestion here for your Easter spiritual journey. The Acts of the Apostles is a book in the New Testament that follows up Luke's gospel. It's actually an extension of the Gospel of Luke, and it talks at length about how the earliest community of Christian disciples began to grow and to form into a community of church after the resurrection of the Lord. And Pope Francis has done a wonderful catechesis, a series of instructions and reflections on the Acts of the Apostles. We're going to include a link for you that would just suggest, if you would be interested in doing that, to follow along his catechesis, which he actually has completed now, but he began with his weekly audiences back in the middle of June of last year, and then each week up through January of this year offered reflections on the Acts of the Apostles. And I thought it would be a wonderful opportunity for us as a community to spend some time reflecting on this great book, that a story of faith that accompanies us every year in our journey through the Easter season, and to do that under the guidance of Pope Francis, who has a beautiful spirituality and a really deep and wise way of looking at these reports and these stories and these wonderful revelations of God being at work in the midst of his people, and the many, many challenges that they faced in those early days. I think we can all find some really significant parallels to our own experiences now, and to know that we live the Acts of the Apostles every day. This isn't something that just happened 2,000 years ago as a historical artifact. It's a living reality that we are asked to recreate by our fidelity and by our desire to grow in the Spirit of the Lord. So we're going to include that link hopefully on this video, but if we can't get it on the video, we'll have it up on the website and on Facebook, and you can begin to follow along maybe each day or a couple of times a week to check in on one of the Pope's brief 5-10 minute meditations on the Acts of the Apostles. And I think that would be a great thing to do for us as a community throughout our season of Easter. So on behalf of myself, our staff, and of course our faithful mascot, Miss Cleo, who's having a wonderful time being at home, by the way. She loves to go outside and chase the squirrels on a moment's notice. So she's in her glory and having a good time, but she misses everybody. And I know when we're back in the office, she'll be happy to see those of you who like to come over and pay her a visit. She thrives on the attention, believe me. So Cleo says bye for now, as I do as well. Know my thoughts and prayers are with you all. God bless you. Keep you safe, and everybody just keep doing what we're doing to keep one another safe from this virus. So take care and God bless.